Good morning all. Here's an Allen Bradley Osai operator panel. Its catalog number is 86001884K. The 8600 operator panel. Now the problem with this one was that we had no video. The CRT wasn't working. I'm going to show you a little bit of something you need to know when you're working on these things, because you can power these things up by applying 120 volts AC single phase to the line in plug, and it won't power up. So here, I'll show you. I'm going to turn on the power switch. Now be careful, because some of these come in to your shop and they'll be set for 220, but this one right here was set for 120. And applied 120 volts AC single phase to the line in plug, and look, we're not powered up. What's going on? I'll show you. There's a little secret to these things that this right here will really help you out, and you won't have to figure it out because I already had. Okay, so here we go. Let me tilt this thing down so I can get to the back side of the unit where all the connectors are. Now here, I don't know if you can see it, but there is a power supply card. And on the power supply card, there's a relay that has to be energized. And when it is energized, the contacts of the relay route the incoming line voltage through the relay contacts back out the board to a transformer. And the transformer secondaries right here are converted to DC to power up the control. Now the nice thing about this monitor is, and this Allen Bradley Osai operator panel, is that when the monitor is powered up, the screen will come up green. There won't be no data displayed on the screen, but it will still light up. The video, horizontal sync, and vertical sync come from the 8600 control, which we don't have here. But it's very nice. We still get to see that screen come up. Now, let's go to the back side of the monitor, and I'll show you what you have to connect to enable this operator panel to come up, to energize that relay and route that line to the transformer. Give me a little bit to move the camera, and we'll be looking at the back side. This connector right here, when we get to the house, I'll show you my drawings of these last two pins right here, 13 and 12 on this DB25 male connector. Pin 13, you apply 12 volts DC and it's ground to 12. So 13, 12 volts DC is going to come from this power supply and ground to pin 12. We're going to use this little cable right here. I got yellow and black wire. We're going to connect that to the DB15 connector. The 12 volts DC are going to energize that relay. Now I've got this power supply right here set to 12 volts. There's our 12 volts in to the coil of that relay, and there's our ground to the coil of that relay. Don't get them backwards, because there's a spike suppression diode across the coil of that relay. If you get these backwards, all that current from this 12 volt DC power supply will flow through the anode and cathode of that spike suppression diode, will forward bias that diode, and it'll burn that diode up. So make sure 13 plus 12, 12, pin 12 is ground. That's a little bit confusing there. All right, let's turn this on. Okay, I heard the relay click. Now we're going to set this back on its side, and I'm going to apply the line voltage. This time we'll have video. Let's go back to the front of the operator panel. All right. The relay on the power supply has been energized with 12 volts DC. I'm going to turn on the power strip. There we go, look at that. The start push button has lit up, and the stop push button has lit up, and we have a green screen. Look at that. Look at that. Now watch what happens when I turn off that 12 volts DC to the power supply's relay. It turns off. Let's energize that relay again. Now you know the secret. If you ever get an Allen Bradley 8600 operator panel in your shop, you'll know how to enable it. Now, when I get to the house, I'll show you my schematic drawings of that circuit, and in the next video I'll show you how I repaired that CRT. There we go, folks. Wasn't that fascinating? That is fascinating. That is fascinating. I love electronics. I love electronics. Except when I can't fix something, and then I hate it. All right. Okay. All right, all. Let's head to the hooch, and we'll look at the paperwork. See you when we get there. Hello, all. Here we are at the house. Somehow we've made it to another day. Not really sure why, but we did. That's great. Here on the power supply of the Allen Bradley Osai 8600 operator panel is a relay. Now that relay has to be energized in order for the operator panel to be enabled and power up. It goes through numerous traces and wires and traces and wires to finally, these are connectors, to finally get back to the DB25 male connector. We apply plus 12 volts DC to pin 13 and ground from an external power supply to 12. And current flows through this relay right here and energizes, and the contacts will close. The part number of this relay is FTH-A002, manufactured by Femi. It's a 12 volt coil relay. So we put the 12 volts here and ground here, and that relay will energize and close its contacts. Now let's go look at, see what happens when those contacts close. Here are the contacts of the K1 relay. It's double pole, double throw. There's no connection up here, no connection up here of those switches. These two pins right here on U1 of the power supply connector, this is a Phoenix connector, 3-pin. On pins 2 and 3, that connects back to the line plug where we plugged in the 120 volts AC single phase. When the relay contacts close, that 120 volts AC single phase is routed out to the U2 connector on the power supply card on pins 11 and 12. Now up here on pins 1 and 10 of the U1 and U2 connectors. That's frame ground. Now, what happens when the line plug, that voltage on the line plug, the 120 volts AC single phase, reaches 11 and 12 on U2? Let's go look. Here is the primary winding of a transformer inside that Allen Bradley Osai 8600 operator panel. When the relay is energized, 120 volts AC single phase is connected to the primary winding of this transformer. The secondaries up here of this very same transformer are fed back into the power supply card and create, from that AC voltage, they create on that power supply card the DC voltages required to power up that operator panel. So if this relay is not energized out here, that panel does not power up. Well, alright, there you go. That's how you enable the power supply input to the Allen Bradley Osai 8600 operator panel. It's getting dark around here. I gotta go in the backyard and fill up the bird feeders, and then I'm feeling like I gotta make me some cornbread. So y'all have a good night, and we'll see you when the sun comes up. We'll see you tomorrow.